Gary, just give us a signal. Good.
Good evening. Today is October 16th, 2017. We are here tonight for our regularly scheduled board meeting. If we could start tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, Michelle, if I may, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We thank you for joining us. Tonight, before we get started with our regular board meeting, I'd like to just point out that next week is officially School Board Recognition Week, and the New York State School Boards Association recognizes 1 week per year, basically for communities to understand and send some appreciation to their school boards who put in many, many long hours to set policy, to develop budgets, and to set goals that really impact the future of schools. So I can say firsthand that, you know, we have 5 board members who are with us this evening and serving this community, who put in many, many long hours, time away from family, time away from work occasionally to come in here and make sure the district is being run properly and we're on the right track. So I personally want to just say thank you to each and every one of them. It's a pleasure working with them. And I also would like to invite, I think we have a few special guests who want to say a few words and express gratitude to the board as well. I'm going to start out by inviting Ms. Newman, our PTA Vice President, to the podium.
Good evening. On behalf of the PTA, we're very grateful for all of the work that you do to support our children and the way we can collaborate and work on things that will make all the families in the district have a successful experience here in Tuckahoe. We have chosen to give a $100 donation in your name to the Tuckahoe Middle School to purchase 2 hover cams for the 2 classrooms that don't have them yet. So thank you again, and we're so grateful that we can give this gift to the middle school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, our foundation president, Ms. Regina Seifer.
Okay, the foundation wants to thank the board for all the work that you do here. Thank you for working well with us and everything you do with the children at school, spending your time and energy, keeping the school up and growing. We appreciate your work. And this is our gift to all of you on the board.
Thank you.
The foundation items. I don't know if you want me to bring it forward or I'm just going to.
Michelle, you can accept this as
Thank
board
you,
president.
Regina. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite our TTA president, Mr. Michael Gray, to the podium.
Thank you. On behalf of the TTA, we'd like to say thank you again for all that you do for our school district. Obviously, it's greatly appreciated. We know the time that you give and the time that is away from your families to do what you do for the students, for the teachers. And again, we just want to thank you. The TTA has made in your name a donation to the Hispanic Federation, which has set up a fund to help relief efforts in Puerto Rico. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And lastly, I'd like to invite Dr. Linehan up, representing the administrative group.
Thank you, Mr. Albano. On behalf of the administrative team, I'd like to thank the board for all the hard work, the hours you put in, your dedication to the students, the staff, and the administration. You guys do a yeoman's job, and we really do appreciate everything you do. We'd like to donate, on behalf of the National Honor Society, a check for $150 to assist them in sending supplies to the flood-driven school in Texas. And I have a card for you, which I picked out myself. My wife would be proud of me.
Thank you.
thank you to all of our presenters, and at this time I will turn the meeting back over to Ms. Licio.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to everyone. It's a little bit of an awkward thing, board recognition, but because really none of us are here looking for thank yous. But I would also like to thank my fellow board members and past board members that I have worked with. Honestly, everyone that I have worked with has been more than willing to give up their time away from their family, their jobs, other community service that they could be doing to give to our school community. So I want to thank them. We've been working very hard this year and have a lot on our plate this year with our capital bond proposal. And I just want to extend a thank you to my fellow board members. Okay, are we going to go forward with your comments of the board? We do have a pretty full agenda, and we are running a little bit late. My apologies. I actually was late getting back into town from taking my daughter back to school, who was here for homecoming. And in just a quick board comment, and I was really thinking about it on the drive home, like, what is homecoming? And it's really about coming home. And to many, many of our students, this is home. This is what they consider home, and that they want to be here, that they travel to be here, that they want to see their past classmates, their teachers, the feeling that they had being here. And I think it's something we need to remember, you know, in the work we do, the environment that we are providing for our students, because for many, many, many of them, this is home. And it really just hit me this, probably because it's my baby, I know, but it hit me this time. If any of the board members want to add something quickly tonight, if there's anything.
Oh, no, I was at the, many of the festivities, although I didn't stay through their entirety because, football is not my big thing. But it was the first time I actually went to the opening ceremony and all those events, and then the soccer and the bonfire. And I thought, it was really nice to see. I was actually very surprised on Friday night to see the amount of kids there, because usually for soccer I don't see that. So I was really happy to see, all the, the school spirit that was there. So it was a very nice weekend.
I'd like to make sure, I have to point out and congratulate Austin. I think Austin Goldberg did a great job. I know he worked tirelessly to put it all together. And I totally can understand that. A lot of times there's things done behind the scenes that a lot of people don't realize the amount of work that goes into that. So I think, Austin, great job. Accolades to you and the staff, the coaches, the students. It's great to see the community come together. I mean, if you're a community resident and you were here at any point over the weekend, it was just great to see. So accolades to everybody in the community, the staff, the school, and all those involved.
Just a big thank you to all the varsity and JV athletes and the modified athletes. The way you kids embraced the little ones at the field, whether it was the bonfire, whether it was a soccer game, football game, it was great. The kids looked up to you. They can't wait to play varsity sports or get to the high school, so it was really nice to see. And homecoming to me was a success. It was a lot of people. Friday night was a success. There were so many people for the soccer game. It was nice. It was very nice. And thank you for the recognition. The gifts were very generous. Thank you.
So I had as the high school rep, I had a whole list of things that I was going to talk about and announce, but I guess we're a little bit crunched for time.
That's okay, go right ahead.
I won't go through the whole thing. I'll just kind of hit a couple of highlights. And just ponying off the homecoming success, I just wanted to point out the phenomenal job our seniors did with the fundraising efforts. They raised $3,400, which is pretty impressive. And I know that was on the backs of a lot of hard work and a lot of help from the parents as well. So I just wanted to give them that due. And just remind everybody that a couple things are coming up for the seniors in high school. The annual haunted house is coming up on Friday, October 27th. That's another good opportunity for them to fundraise, so please come on out and support them if you can. And then the senior class will be participating in the Ragamuffin Parade on October 31st, like they always do with the Cottle kids, which is always great. And I also wanted to just recognize the National Honor Society for the great work they did. Dr. Linehan mentioned it before with his gift, with the fundraising they did for the school down in Texas that was ravaged by the floods. They ran a fund drive for school supplies, which was really great, and that ends this week. So if anybody still wants to contribute, they can drop off binders, notebooks, or whatever to the high school guidance office. So I have a few other things, but that's good enough for now. Move on.
Carl?
Can I make one more
Oh,
comment
sure, go ahead.
before I forgot? I wanted to actually thank Johnny Connie Bear put together yesterday for the Cancer Walk Austin. I did get a chance to attend. It was nice to see our young children participate. There was more children than adults, and I think it was a great showing, and I didn't want to miss that. I forgot that earlier. But thank you to Jana, thank you for Austin, thank you for all the students and parents who attended and made the trip and did do the walk.
So I will just add that you can see what a hands-on school board we really have, because they are in tune with everything that's happening in our district. In fact, they took most of my talking points away from me. But I will just add that the leadership to organize the weekend event of homecoming is enormous. And Mr. Goldberg, who is here with us this evening, is going to present his goals in a few moments. But he did an outstanding job. I think we had record-setting numbers. But also our GEO advisor, Mr. Julio Rodriguez, who is the high school physics teacher. He worked incredibly hard to organize the parade and the bonfire and all that school spirit. But most of all, what I want to say is, the events were exciting and fun-filled. But what hit me the most, or what affected me the most, was to see our students. Our football players and our cheerleaders were out there wearing pink for cancer awareness. After rigorous games and a tiring weekend, they got up early on Sunday morning, a big crowd of them, and marched for cancer awareness. And I'm just so impressed that the spirit of giving back and community service that is instilled in our students. I really need to applaud them, and I see some of them here this evening. Also, we have, people may not know this, but the high school has a very active Habitat for Humanity club. Many of our athletes participate. In fact, probably about 50% of the high school at some point in the school year will go on a build. I think that's unheard of. I don't know of another high school that has that level of participation. Again, speaks to the commitment to community service that is so strong here at Tuckahoe. And of course, you heard from Peter and from others, hurricane relief. The GO really took the lead early in the school year to raise money to help the relief out in Texas, and I know we're also doing some relief for Puerto Rico. So again, I applaud all those efforts. And that's all for this evening.
Great, thank you, Carl. Lilu?
And I'd only like to add that I'd like to thank the custodial staff, because they worked many hours over the weekend to help facilitate all the activities going on. They are delighted to help out, and they enjoy participating in the community events. So thank you to all the custodians who helped over the weekend.
Thank you, Lee.
Shall I do one more? Okay. I apologize. And one more. We have a full audience, and we'll move on with the agenda. But an important announcement is on November 6th, which is a board workshop meeting. Prior to that meeting at 6:45, we'll have a meeting in the main lobby of the middle high school for all community members who would like to tour the buildings of Tuckahoe. You're probably aware that we have a major capital project proposal that will be out for a public vote on December 5th. What we're doing is, over the next maybe 6 weeks, I believe, which is the time leading up to the vote, we have a strong public relations campaign to help make sure that you are informed about the details of this project and the financing of the project. So again, on November 6th, you are all welcome to join me and Miss Lou. We'll take you on a personal tour of each building and show you all the designated locations that are either going to be renovated or new construction. And then the group is welcome to come back to the board workshop meeting. We will have our architects here, our financial department here, and Dr. McDonald will join us to talk about how the project meets our educational goals. So I encourage you to come out and be informed. If you can't make it, there'll be many other opportunities. We're meeting with all three communities, the village. We're meeting with Chester Heights community as well as Bronxville Manor community. We'll also be doing newsletters and mailings, and there's even a video that Gary Miller is helping us edit at this time. So there'll be more information to follow, and if you miss any of it, everything is posted on the school website. So don't hesitate to go there if you are interested and want some detailed information about the capital project. Public vote December 5th.
Thank you. I think the tour is an excellent idea. Really gives the public an opportunity to see for themselves the needs that we're faced with, the challenges we have right now. And again, that's November 6th at 6:45.
Exactly.
Okay, great. PTA. Catherine, did you have anything?
We just wanted to highlight some events that we have coming up. We have, of course, the Coddle Halloween Party. It's on Friday, October 20th, and tickets are available for that on School B. Our membership drive is still going on, and you can pay by PayPal. That's been successful this year. We're very excited for November 1st general meeting, the superintendent's listening hour, and a couple of the board members will be joining us. We're asking that anyone who has questions to talk about our school's opportunity and challenge, email them to Allison Halloran, our PTA president. We're also looking forward to our high school's principal coffee, and that will be on November 8th. We wanted to say thank you to Superintendent Albano for coming to our last executive board meeting and presenting the capital project to us. We're very happy to report that our board took a vote and we have voted to support the capital project, so please let us know how we can be of assistance.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you. Okay, Tuckahoe School Foundation. Regina, did you have anything?
Right now, we're planning for the casino night. I'm sure you've all gotten your invitations. We are getting responses, and that's what we're working on now. It's an event to raise money here for the school. So that is our project right now. It is November 17th at the VIP. Please RSVP.
Thanks, Regina. Okay, now this is the first opportunity to address the board, and this is for agenda items only. So if there's anyone here who'd like to approach regarding anything on the agenda for this evening. No? Okay.
Yes, I actually would.
Okay. If you could just give us your name and your address, please.
My name is Catherine Seymour. My address is 22 Pleasant Place, Tuckahoe, New York. My son is Rylan Reynolds. He attends 6th grade here at Tuckahoe Middle School. He went to Coddle for about 5 years, and I just wanted to speak about the new principal and how, if there was a time of internship or interim between the prior principal to the current principal.
I'm sorry. First of all, yes. You need to, this opportunity is to address agenda items only. But since you're here and you've already asked the question, I'm not sure if you just want to clarify what the question is. I'm not really quite sure.
Clarify, what was there a time frame of the new principal to the prior principal of them working together to ensure positive outcomes for going forward, since, you know, Mr. Albano had 7 years of positive things for Coddle? What was the interim process?
Okay. Did you want to address that, Carl?
Yes, there was a brief transition. I know Mr. Cuglietto did meet with Mr. Albano, who resigned at the end of June, and I know they are both, there's a mutual respect between both principals, and in fact they worked many years ago in the same district, and I know Mr. Cuglietto is very familiar with Mr. Albano's initiatives and his approach, and I think has really hit the ground running and picked up where Mr. Albano left off. And by all accounts, Coddle has had a very smooth opening, and I have no doubt, and I have every bit of confidence in Mr. Cuglietto that he will continue to move ahead with all the great initiatives that exist down at Coddle.
Okay, so was there a process to go by that? Was there like a 2-week interim? Was there a month interim? Was there a process in order to do that, or was it just here you are, go from there?
Well, there was a process of administrative meetings over the summer, transition planning. We had a 2-day retreat, and there was one meeting between the outgoing principal and the new principal. But no, it was not 2 weeks. That was not available to us.
So there was no process involved. It was just, we're going to do this, and here we go forward.
No, there was a detailed transition process. We do have a 5-year strategic plan for the district, so we are in year 5 of that plan, and there were initiatives that we've been working on for 4 years. Mr. Cuglietto was made aware of where we are in that planning process and is moving things forward. So there was a detailed transition process over the summer between the administrative team.
Okay, so do you have an outline of that process that we could have the residents and parents of the district?
Sure,
we
we
would
can
like to
make
know
that
the process.
available. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to go on with the consent agenda.
Are we doing the presentation?
Oh, I'm sorry. All of our principals are here for a reason tonight, and I'm just ready to jump right past you here. Okay. We have presentations from our building leaders on their goals. Did you want to give a little lead-in on that?
Just a quick introduction, and I think it kind of is related to one of our parents' questions. So this evening, you're going to hear from all three building principals, and they've spent a lot of time. Over the summer, we had a 2-day summer retreat, and we looked at our strategic plan, where we were with that strategic planning, and the principals have developed goals, along with the assistant principals, for their individual buildings. Also, our athletic director has developed strategic plans for this year and goals, and they're here to present. You may recall last meeting, for those who were tuned in, we had goals from central office. So the board establishes goals every year, and the board did similar work over the summer. They were presented last month. Then I presented superintendent's goals, and those are formally adopted by the Board of Education. And Ms. Liu and Dr. McDonald, our central office administrators, presented their goals last month. So this evening, we're looking forward to hearing from each one of our principals and our athletic director. And I think we're starting with Mr. Cuglietto, the William E. Cottle principal, and Mr. Kogallen, assistant principal. They'll be presenting together.
Good evening, Mr. Albano, Mrs. Licio, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen. Early on in July, when I had the opportunity to come aboard, Mr. Kilgallen and I and others in the building helped to construct a set of goals which we felt were meaningful, relevant, timely, fair, and achievable. What you see here essentially are the topics that we discussed at great length during my first days, and these goals seem more relevant today than they were when we constructed them. So, with your permission, here we go. Physical safety of the building has a great deal to do with the mandates that come to us from New York State. There are enough responsibilities that fall on the shoulders of the Chief Emergency Officer and his trust in all of us. However, the emotional safety of the building is crucial, and that has as much to do with care and love that's given to the children all day, every day, weekends, in the community, etc. And I think that so far the emotional safety of our children through our presence, our visibility, our availability has come through. Been told that so many times that Cottle is a special place, and in a very short period of time I have come to realize that as much as anybody could in a few months. Pete?
Thank you. Regarding physical safety, we have touched on a number of things to ensure that Cottle is the safest school. We've gone over in detail our building level emergency response plan. All of our teachers have gone over that with myself and other members of the emergency response team. We have conducted a number of drills this year. We have conducted 5 fire drills this year. We had 1 successful fire drill last year where we actually blocked certain exits of the building, and we wanted our teachers to be able to think on their feet without having, to get out of the normal. During a fire drill, this is where we go. So we are constantly looking at ways to ensure that our building is the safest. In regards to emotional safety, we want to continue to cultivate that environment of respect with our children. It's very important. We want our children to be able to debate, discuss, problem solve, and challenge each other, but we want to do it in a positive, respectful way, and one way we can do that is modeling that behavior amongst ourselves with the children and the faculty.
Before you, I'm sorry, because I don't want to be rude. I'm going to sit over here so that maybe I feel like we're sitting here and you're looking at us, and maybe they want to see you talk more. So that's why I'm moving.
I'm looking forward now to goal number 2. I'm looking forward to the planning and performance leadership team. It's a perfect opportunity for members of the community and members of the school staff to discuss plans and needs now and in the future. I think it's a perfect venue to share that information with our superintendent of schools in central office. It makes perfect sense, and it's I'm sure that what comes out of the committee will be aligned to the district goals. Moving forward with, certainly with the excitement of a bond coming before the community, there's a great deal of work to do, and my colleagues really do need to think very carefully about what happens if and when the community votes in favor of the bond. There is a great deal of work to do, a great deal of preparation. There'll be an initial euphoria, and then what will happen is we'll have to plan, because as best I can ascertain, there are going to be years of some discomfort with construction, certainly with the gymnasium, of course, but at the end of that rainbow comes the wonderful opportunity for new buildings, new programs. We get to go from a certain place to the front of the pack, not just in Westchester, but anywhere. And I have to say that everybody in town should be pretty excited and confident in your work and the changes that are ahead. And that takes planning. So therefore, the PPLT team.
We also look forward to working with the PPL team for a full year. Last year we met with them towards the end of the year, and we look forward to working with them from the start of the year all the way through to the end of the year in June.
And as we go to goal 3, when we think about the capital project, we think about the changes that will occur with right down to where our children eat, the kind of library and media center that we have the opportunity to build for our current students and future generations, the safety and security of the school building right down to the main entrance of the building, and what kinds of innovations exist in school security in this era. Just think of down the road a brand new gymnasium built from the floor up, with all of the attributes and excitement that any elementary school program and really district physical education program and sporting program could want. And then there's the topic of the STEAM lab, which is a wonderful thought and concept, which is going to require a great deal of detail and care, right down to the certifications of the professionals that we will interview for those positions. The school itself, I surmise that within 2 to 3 years, Cottle School will be a very, very, very interesting place in the area of math, science, technology, and the arts. And I'm very thankful to just think about these things and ponder these improvements at the school. But our staff needs to know this. Our community needs to have an idea as to the crucial decision-making that has to take place if indeed these initiatives, this work that you're doing, is going to come to some sort of wonderful fruition, and I believe that it will. So thanks in advance to that team.
And piggybacking on what Mr. Kugler just said, providing leadership is also making sure that the right information actually is being sent to the public. So one of our roles is making sure that we are accurately informing the public what is actually happening, and kind of making sure that the right facts are being said out in the public. So we want to be able to answer any questions and provide any support to any community members that may have any questions regarding this major project.
And goal number 4 talks about data analysis, and I believe what the difference is this year as opposed to last year is that systematically and methodically we're starting to take a look at the information that comes to us through the data warehouse. We're taking a very good look at the kind of data that we expect to see when when children come up for any kind of review for services. The data warehouse, if I may go back to that, the data warehouse is a service that we pay for through the Lower Hudson Regional Information Center, and it is filled with information that our teachers deserve to know and have a right to know of, so that this way, as we start to approach testing time in grades 3, 4, and 5, there should be no rush towards those New York State assessments. There should be less pressure, even though there'll always be an internal desire on the part of our teachers and our communities for our children to do the best that they possibly can. The fact is that that kind of data analysis that can come from the warehouse will help our teachers do a better job at preparing our children for the upcoming assessments.
The data warehouse is a huge resource, a huge tool for our teachers. It helps them pinpoint their students' strengths, their students' weaknesses. 75% of the questions are available to our teachers to use to really get a sense of where their class stands. It's a huge resource that Mr. Cugliano and I are meeting with teachers and showing them how to navigate through that website correctly.
The fifth goal has to do with the district's APPR plan, and thankfully Mr. Kilgallen and I, and a number of other folks who have made this happen, we've already begun the observation process. And one of the things that we have promised, not only our superintendent and administrative team, but Mr. Gray and our good reps at the Cottle School, was that we were going to do everything in our power to make the observation process meaningful to our teachers and, frankly, to ourselves. There are wonderful opportunities in terms of meeting with teachers, observing them in action, and then trying to ascertain their planning, organization, and frankly, their powers of self-reflection. So the APPR plan, to me and perhaps to Pete also, has a great deal to do with the observation process, which leads right into that plan.
Also, we need to complete our observations in order to fulfill our APPR requirements. To piggyback on what you said, we want to make these observations meaningful. The pre-observation conference and the post-observation conference are just as important as the actual observation, and I look forward to having those conversations with our teachers before and after the observation.
For the 2 weeks ago, our E&L teachers had the opportunity to present to our support staff on their program, what they do, what their goals are, their schedules, etc. It was a precursor to a meeting on October the 18th, this Wednesday, and a colleague from the Auburn, the Regional Bilingual Education Center at Southern Westchester BOCES. They'll be joining us on this coming Wednesday, presenting to our entire staff on the new laws, mandates, and recommendations of New York State Ed. So with respect to English as a new language program, here I can say that at the Cottle School, our teachers will be in a far better mindset to deal with and work with our children who come to us from other shores. And so we're pretty excited about Wednesday, Mr. Albano. We're looking forward to meeting right here in this library.
Like Mr. Cuglio just said, with the ever-changing mandates of E&L instruction, it's extremely important that each member of our faculty knows and is able to discuss the legal and moral and ethical responsibilities that come along with this area. So we will continue to work with our teachers to provide them as much support as possible in this area.
And finally, Mr. Albano, there is, we are excited at the thought that we are improving our academic intervention service program by working towards an eventual response to intervention handbook, which will really provide our teachers and community with a roadmap and a guideline. And the fact is that all schools should have some sort of roadmap so that they can address youngsters who are exhibiting some difficulties in their academic achievement. And if indeed youngsters deserve the right to have additional services, there has to be set protocols and processes and practices in place, and to document them in a handbook, I believe, is an effective and smart goal, and we're on our way.
I just want to say thank you, Mr. Kilgallen, Mr. Cuglietto. I think your goals are very focused and will certainly help us continue to move Cottle forward. And I look forward to working and seeing the results of your efforts this year. I'd like to just ask if any of our board members have questions for our elementary administrative team.
Thank you. I apologize. I'm very, very sorry.
I thought it was me that made you cry.
No, not at all. I just had one general question. If, Carl, you could just touch on it, because it may be something that's consistent with the other principles on the PPLT. Just a little bit more of a general understanding for the public, why we introduced that last year and what that's all about.
Sure. Actually, 2 years ago, we did some town hall meetings and with our interim superintendent and board members, and we kept hearing over and over from the community that there was this desire to have a voice at the table, to have access to our administrators and our teachers, and to be able to talk about concerns or issues or opportunities. So we looked at a few different models. In fact, one of our parents recommended a model that was in place in the Ardsley School District. And I was very familiar with it. Ms. Lou was also familiar with it because we both served in Ardsley years back. And we modified it to meet Tuckahoe's needs and what we thought was a good model for us. We worked with our PTA, and we have this model now where PTA reps, teacher reps, our support staff reps, and our administrative team can really look at issues, set goals, and have different constituents, bring their viewpoints and their perspective to the table. So as Mr. Cuglietto said earlier, and one great example is there is a lot of work to be done. If this capital project is approved, the real work would begin after December 5th. And that's where I would envision, this team that has, different perspectives. We need everyone's perspective to make the right choices, to stage this capital project properly, and to make sure the end results are there. So that is just one example of an initiative, but the initiatives could range from, curricular to extracurricular to, maybe safety procedures reviewed, and countless other things. We also envision this committee serving in our hiring process. So I think it'll serve a number of different purposes, and I think it's very valuable to have different perspectives.
Okay. Now, I'm not sure if you mentioned parents are on that as well, correct?
Yes. Yes, through our PTA, we have parent representatives.
So just one comment. I would just implore you that hopefully this does pass on December 5th, and I certainly will take the time to sit down with you and your staff and administration to make sure that when we start the plan, we touch on all the things you discussed: security, the way the STEAM classrooms are put together, how we optimize the space, the cafeteria, and all those things. And I think the one thing that I would love to see, and Carl does the best he can for the board with helping us when it came to the capital project throughout the last year and a half, is really what do the teachers and the administration who are in that building see every day. We're not there. We're all working. And I think that's important. And that's one thing the community, I think, would really gain from is what, as administrators and teachers, do you really need to really take that school to the next level? So I was really glad to hear that, and I look forward to working with you as we move forward.
Same here.
Absolutely.
Anybody else? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Middle school is next?
Yes, our middle school administrative team, Mr. Barnett and Mr. DeBellis.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. DeBellis and I have put together a number of goals for the middle school this year. They're a combination of curricular and outside of the classroom kind of goals. So I'll start with the first one. There's been a number of administrators in the building, as you all know, over the last number of years. So a starting point, kind of a 101 for the middle school, is defining and communicating some of our building policies. And this really is kind of back to basic stuff. Where do kids come in the morning? Where do they go? What do they do with their backpacks? Cell phones? What are expectations for the cafeteria? These kinds of things. And already in this school year, Mr. DeBellis and I have worked both with each individual class and also with parents on updating and refreshing our ideas on these different goals. And there will be more to come as the year unfolds. We're around the building, we're looking at what kids are doing, what our teachers are doing, and we're trying to find places to improve and make things run as smoothly as they possibly can.
I've had the opportunity over the last year to observe and assess and be able to pass some of that knowledge down to Mr. Barnett. So I think one of the takeaways was that I'd like to facilitate meetings with different stakeholders of the buildings to gather their insight to help us further develop those policies. So we'd like to gain insight from everyone, as well as ensure that instructional time is not lost. I think that's paramount for us at all times, and everything that we do, we want to try to keep that sacred at all times.
Our second goal is to analyze the course offerings, and what we're talking about are not the core subjects. The 5 core subjects, of course, will always be part of our curriculum, but it's the courses outside of those. How are we using the additional 2 periods? Are we offering things in the right amount? We have a 6-day rotating schedule, so are we using those 6 days in the best possible way? Are there courses that we haven't thought about or that we haven't responded to with changes in technology? And how can we incorporate those things into our offerings? And of course, part of this is ensuring that what we offer is cohesive, that different classes make sense, they come together and provide the best possible experience for the students in our school. Number 3, we'd like to continue progress towards maximizing innovation and creativity in pedagogy. And this is really where I hope to be able to shift and focus more attention as this year continues and into the future as well. What this is about is student independence, and how do we foster that in the middle school and help prepare our students for high school and beyond? What are the ways that our teachers are designing and delivering their instruction that gives students opportunities to come into their own, to feel success, to understand what it means to work through problems, and to bring those experiences to higher level courses and higher level problems. So this is something that we're doing through our APPR process as we're in classrooms and observing teachers. We're analyzing what's happening in classrooms, looking for ways to improve, highlighting things that are already going very well, and we hope to develop this further.
I think just to echo and piggyback, the power of professional conversations with the teachers is paramount for us as administrators, to guide them, to try to have them collaborate with each other. Ultimately, the goal is to improve student learning and achievement, and I think the avenue and the tool of that professional conversation through the APPR process is paramount. We also want to make sure, I think I have the pleasure of working with 2 highly intelligent gentlemen, and I get split between the middle and high school, so I get to see things from different perspectives. I also have that continuity of working with the students from grades 6 through 12, so I get the ability to watch them grow, both socially and academically. So I want to make sure that the program is aligned to both of the principals' visions. We want to make sure that those lessons are rigorous, that they're student-centered, and that the pedagogy is innovative, and that the new research that's out there, we're starting to infuse that into our instructional program.
Our 4th goal for the year is to establish an RTI protocol. As many of you know, there are different levels of intervention for students who are struggling, and we want to make sure that our staff understands the different options that we have for students. We don't need every student who's struggling in school to end up with a 504 or an IEP, and we want to make sure that we're putting in place interventions to help kids before they get to that level. So what this involves is establishing a process for case conferences and instructional support teams to help students with their struggle in school. We want to train the staff on the different options that we have available, and we want to make sure that staff are able to talk to parents about options. So when an issue or a problem starts, with grades in a certain class, the first level of intervention can happen in the classroom with a conversation between teachers and parents. Excuse me. And we want to establish a feedback loop with the staff, with our support teams, and with parents to make sure that the different options that we're using in the classroom are being measured. Not everything that we try is going to work, and when something does meet success, we'd like to know about it, but when it doesn't, we'd also like to know about that so we can try something new. So the first step of this goal is understanding where our staff is with the different options and making sure that we're all on the same page at a classroom level, and then building up from there over the course of the school year.
I think when necessary, it's important to give a platform to the parents so that they can advocate for their children. We want to ensure at the building level that we're able to provide all the academic services that they need, whether it be for local or state assessments or just the academic program. One decision that we've made this year is that I will be chairing the 504 committee meetings for the 8th graders. We thought since the continuity of them moving into high school, and I do chair the high school meetings as well, that would be a great opportunity to ensure that it is continuous, and then I can continue to work with the teachers, support staff, all the different members of the building so that the students are able to succeed.
And along the same line, I'm chairing the initial 504s, which I think puts me in a position to really understand how do kids end up on this continuum of RTI services, and it'll help me better evaluate, what we're doing at the lowest level along that continuum. And the last goal, number 5, is to ensure effective parent communication. As a first-year principal, I want to make sure that parents feel comfortable reaching out to me, that parents feel informed about things that are happening in the school and the building. A couple of ways that I've done that so far is with the meetings. The PTA was kind enough to put together a Meet the New Principal evening and day program about a week or two ago. And continuing to communicate with parents about different topics as the year unfolds, being in tune with what parents have questions about, and hoping that my communication with parents responds to those questions as effectively as I can.
I think it's also important, as a parent, as an administrator, we want to make sure that our children are being treated fairly and everything is equitable. For that reason, I try to ensure that all of the Tuckahoe policies, the code of conduct, are aligned with the DASA, the Dignity for All Student Act, as per New York State. And I think the accessibility is also important. At any point in time, we want to make sure that parents, if there is a concern, whatever venue or avenue they want to reach out to us, we want to make sure that we address those concerns immediately and as fairly and as consistently as possible.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Mr. Barnett, Mr. DeBellis.
Thank you. I'm going to stay for it.
Okay, great. Any questions from the board members? Any questions?
Just a statement. I would encourage you guys, over the next few months, as you talked about one of your goals was evolving the way teaching is, and that there's a new initiative out there, that there's different ways and approaches to teaching today. I would love to see you come back in a few months and share with us maybe some new things that you've rolled out and that the teachers are using in the classroom.
Thank you. Definitely.
Do you foresee that, should I go to the microphone? Just piggybacking on what Rob said, do you see any of those different approaches utilizing technology or technology applications in terms of new ways of teaching?
Yeah, absolutely. I was in a classroom last week doing an observation, and the teacher was having students, rather than taking notes, pencil and paper, they were posting their notes to a like a digital board. And what I found fascinating was you have 25 students in a room generating important ideas, and when students are thinking about one question at the same time, many of their minds jump to the same ideas, but that idea is already on the board. So rather than having like 5 or 6 really good ideas, the teacher made the class pause and said, before you put something up there, make sure it's not already up there. If it's there already, you've got to come up with a new idea. And the variety of ideas that resulted, I think, was far better than what would have happened with students working individually. So this is, and this is just one example of the ways that I think the technology is really changing the way that we're instructing students. And if you all have not yet seen some of the Google platform that we're using at the school, it really is incredibly powerful in the way that it works.
Yeah.
I think also having the students have the access to the one-to-one technology is also paramount. Students might not have had that opportunity previously, and I think it gives them a forefront, compared to all of the other schools and students. I think also, too, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Dr. Kathy Mosier and Mr. James Moore and the support that they provide to the teachers. There are always new research-based options out there, and they do an excellent job of being sure that they roll those things out to the teachers. They expose them. They step into the classrooms and work with them if necessary. So I think that collaborative effort is something that will help that pedagogy go to the next level.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Dr. Linehan?
Okay. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. High school goals, following up on the questions given to Mr. Barnett about enhancements of student learning and teacher instruction. Specifically, with the introduction of technology about 4 or 5 years ago, the high school went from, a 1950s, 1960s environment to the 21st century. And we're one of the leaders in Westchester. And the goal this year is really to maintain that and really assess how we're doing. Well, we have a lot of inquiry-based learning where students are basically doing all the work and looking and doing the research. Teachers guide them. And we want to make sure we're doing it with the right web applications, basically, what's out there regarding visual learning. And just a note about visual learning, we formed a partnership with Jacob Burns Educational Center this summer. And students today are visual learners. The digital text is really what drives students. And one of our goals is really to bring students into critical thinking in the visual world, but also have them apply it to the written text. So students teachers who got training at Jacob Burns last summer are now working on student videos and using the analysis that they use in the written text that's in the visual and having them apply it to the written text so they're actually able to elevate their reading and their analysis of the written work. So that's an ongoing use of technology to make students better readers and, more importantly, better thinkers. Goal number 2, Mr. Sorry, I'm stepping on you for number 1.
In September, about a month ago, New York State adopted Next Generation Learning Standards, which will replace the Common Core learning standards. So it's going to be about a 3-year process to implement those new standards. So that is going to be, I think, a key component of the instructional phase with the teachers of starting to phase and implement and support them. So we want to make sure that that's rolled out, and I think New York State has the goal of making that a much more smooth transition than the Common Core. So obviously we want to also support those teachers as they start to learn and dive into that professional development.
Number 2, evaluate course offerings, explore new opportunities. Obviously with the capital project referendum, that's a great opportunity for facilities at the high school, and we'll be looking forward to working with the teachers, the architects, and the board in implementing the facilities changes that are approved, if they are approved here at the high school. Course offerings, we have STEAM. We've introduced AP Computer Science. We have a media production course. We'll be evaluating that. We're also looking forward to working with Dr. McDonald and Mr. Barnett in acceleration at the middle school, the pros and cons of it and how it impacts students in the high school. We also will be looking at online courses. Currently we offer government, we offer AP Spanish and Spanish. We've been offering online courses here for 10 years with very good success, and we want to make sure we're in the forefront there. We're also looking for new opportunities with online courses. OC21 is a program out of BOCES Northern Westchester we've explored. Our ongoing issue is always we don't have enough students. So I'm going to be candid. We would like to implement a program. You need more students to implement some of the things we've looked at. Mr. DeBellis?
I know we've spoken about it a number of times, but looking at technology, I will continue to serve on the technology committee to look at new innovative ways, new research that's out there, and try to expose that to the teachers and support them in their exploration of those new methods, as well as the visual literacy initiative. We want to continue to implement that and allow teachers to use that as another resource in their instructional strategies.
Following up on Mr. DeBellis' comment, the We Video is a lot of high school teachers are using, where students are creating, instead of creative writing or with creative writing, it's now creative video making. And if you saw the HBO documentary on Steven Spielberg, You know, he refers to the camera as his pen. You know, that's his laptop. That's how he really gets his message across in communicating. So we want to use that vehicle really to get students into the writing and reading aspect of it. Maximize student writing skills across the curriculum. This obviously is a district goal. We're talking about the writing revolution. Right now, Ms. Vincenzi will be in the lead at the high school. And just to familiarize it, it improves student writing through the mechanical end of it. There was an article in the Times last summer, if you had a chance to look at it, and the debate was, which should you do, teach the mechanics, you know, or go with the creativity? And actually, you know, from my perspective as a former English teacher, it's a ridiculous argument. You should teach both. And that's really where we're at. So the writing revolution really implores the mechanical aspect of writing, but also teaches kids to think through the writing process. So that'll be going on. That'll be a goal. Number 4, assure student needs are addressed with success through the curriculum and instructional initiatives. For this high honors, for the advanced students, we have honors, we have AP. We're looking at differentiation. Before technology, you know, you look to check, see how differentiating was doing. Now with technology, it's very hard not to differentiate. So that's what we want to see. We want to make sure it's being done effectively. I mentioned the Jacob Burns partnership. We're also going to be taking a look at vocational ed. We're one of the few high schools in Westchester that does not offer a vocational ed program for our students. We have a number of students from a diverse population. Some are at poverty level who could use job skills after graduation. Mr. DeBellis?
We'd like to continue to communicate and motivate students on all levels. We feel that looking at some of the subgroups, such as students that are entering the district for the first time, E&L students, students with disabilities, we want to ensure that all of their goals are met, and we want to make sure that we provide all the resources to the teachers so that they're able to meet those goals for the students.
Goal 5, continue to progress and meet challenge with regard to student life growth and development. Mr. DeBellis has been a great asset to the high school. He has a great rapport with the students. We also want to keep kids involved. We had an activity fair. Homecoming was alluded to in the beginning. The Halloween parade with the haunted house is coming up. The winter dance will probably take place in February, if not late January, and the junior carnival. These are events that the students get involved, but they're also learning experiences. They learn on teamwork, they learn about finances, and they learn about planning and organization. Mr. Albano referred to the Habitat for Humanity Club. It's award-winning. The senior internship program was implemented last spring. It was very successful. Thank you, Mr. Colaswano, for all his hard work. So we'll evaluate that going forward. Ms. Lucio referred to the strong faculty relations. You took my presentation away. Anyway, and obviously we're looking to continue students with strong volunteer opportunities.
I think we place a large focus on academic success, but I think the emotional and social growth of the students is equally important. As they're transitioning from 6th through 12th grade, I think it gives me an opportunity to work with the students, to listen to their needs, to just interact with them on a daily basis. You know, I think as adults we all have personal highs and lows, and the students go through the same thing. We want to take those concerns, we want to listen to them and help them achieve those goals and allow us to change the culture of the school. I think that it's important to be consistent, to maintain standards of behavior, and to also communicate those with both the families and the students. I try to do that on a daily basis. I think Dr. Linehan has set a vision that the students have bought into, and I think that it's a phenomenal culture. I'm thankful to be a part of it. And I think lastly, it's also about safety requirements, looking at different ways of trying to educate the students about making better choices. There are consequences for going along with misbehavior, but I think the ultimate goal is to inform the decision-making process so that as they grow older and as they move through life, the thoughts and the lessons that they've learned here at Tuckahoe will stay with them forever.
Last goal, adjusted in performance and outcomes, standardized local and informal assessments from a 312 perspective. I'm working with my colleagues to make sure, as Mark and Lou alluded to, make sure they're ready for 9th grade coming in. We have a lot of students who move in from out of district. We have to really have them catch up. Even students returning from private schools who leave the district and then come back, we have to help them catch up. So we do a lot of data analysis. We have a academically diverse population. We have some struggling students, but we also have some students, 46% last year's graduates were AP students, 22% of the graduates were AP scholars, 3 or more AP exams with an average score of 3. They had to attain that scholar recognition. 4 students were AP scholars with distinction. On the region's performance, 40% of the students achieve mastery, which is 85 or above, in algebra, biology, physics, English, U.S. and global history, and 39% of students achieve mastery in algebra 2. So we track data, we want to maintain a high level, and obviously continue to improve.
I think in order to allow the students to achieve that type of success, we need to create the conditions that allow them to have that success. And when it comes to testing, there are a lot of modifications that are in place for students, and it's important that we collaborate and we communicate with all of the staff members, whether it be ordering exams in different languages, placing students in different environments according to their IEP or 504 plan. That coordination throughout I think the entire building is paramount, and it's one of the components that is necessary for students to have that success, and also to advocate. Sometimes students are not able to express or articulate, as well as they would like to, the needs that they have, and I think that's where we as a staff need to be able to step in and help sometimes and help articulate and have that voice for the kids. So continuing to have that culture, continuing to provide those accommodations and that type of testing environment is critical for them to achieve the success that they have achieved over the years.
Any questions?
Thank you. All the principals, obviously, a lot of time and effort went into this planning. We appreciate your presentation. I'd like to know, is there going to be a follow-up? Rob mentioned it. Will it be in a half point or quarterly, or when will we hear? There's a lot of exciting things about course offerings and vocational opportunities and different things, and I'm sure the community would like to know an update as to what kind of progress we're making with those things.
Well, you've heard a lot about accomplishments and things that we'd like to achieve, but these are annual goals. At the basis of what we're presenting here this evening, these are our goals for the school year, and everyone will be back, in the spring. So we haven't set the exact date, but certainly April, May, you'll be hearing follow-up on each one of our goals, including the central office team as well. So we will certainly have them back. Look forward to it.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Goldberg, our athletic director.
Good evening. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank all the support of the community this weekend, our teachers, our coaches, our parents, custodians, all the unsung heroes that were volunteering their services and helping make a terrific weekend. So I thank you, and Tuckahoe, the spirit in the community around athletics is so encouraging, and it's rich, and the support is much appreciated. I think I'm the only one up here by myself today, so I think I'm going to go a little faster than everybody else. Yeah, a little lonely, but it's all good. My first goal is I really want to update our communication with the community in regards to health and wellness. We have a new middle school, high school nurse, and our nurse, Ms. Montero, down at Cottle, that I'll be working with to help put important information on our district website, state mandates, forms, documents, tips about health and wellness. We have the winter coming up, so I'd love to be able to communicate tips for flu season and other issues on the school district website. Two, I'd like to create, I'm in the process of creating a parent handbook for athletics. This handbook will provide parents and guardians with procedures, guidelines, expectations for Tuckahoe athletics, so it could be a one-stop resource for the community. As I mentioned, we have a new nurse. We also have new physical education teachers as well as coaches, and I'm going to support them and assist them in the transition to Tuckahoe and be a resource to them, mentor to them, and help them grow professionally. And we all do that as administrators. Dr. McDonald in curriculum, Mr. Albano as the head of administration, and of course our school principals and assistant principals. I'm going to continue to explore and implement P12 health and physical education curricular. Coach Sweeney is piloting a new fitness elective at the high school level, and it's been a major success. I want to steer away from team sports at the high school and give the students a different opportunity, a different perspective from what they did in middle school moving forward to the high school. and really want to focus on lifelong health and fitness. And number 5, updating our concussion management procedures. We all know the risks of head injuries, or we should, but that'll be on the new health communication link also on the district site. But it's important to stay ahead, or at least on par with concussion protocol management, and I've been working with our school physician, Dr. Calagaris, our trainer, and our school nurses, as well as the teachers and coaches, on updating this procedure so that we can keep our student athletes as healthy as possible.
Great, thank you. Any questions?
Is that an actual class that students are taking? Or?
So it's a pilot. Okay. So it's not in the course offerings as fitness. I think we wanted to start off and see what works and what doesn't work. So I've been communicating with Coach Sweeney, and we'll continue to do so, and of course with the guidance counselors and principals to make that moving forward and an official elective for phys ed.
Great. Thank you, Austin.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Anything else?
Okay. I just want to thank the entire administrative team. I think anyone listening would realize that there's a cohesiveness and alignment to all the goals, and if you were tuned in last month and now listen to goals from our building administrators and our director of athletics, hopefully you see that continuity, and we look forward to the year ahead and working towards these wonderful goals that we've established.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you again.
Okay, now we're going to go on with the agenda, approve the consent agenda. Motion to approve the consent agenda. First, I'm going to ask, is there anything there that anyone on the board wanted to discuss or pull out before we vote on the consent agenda? No. I just did have one comment. I just wanted to, on number 9, transfer of funds. I wanted to once again thank the family of Angela Carapella. We accepted, I believe it was 2 years ago, a gift from the estate of Angela Carapella in the amount, I believe it was about $145,000.
Yes.
And that money is to be used for scholarship purposes when students can't afford certain things that the school is providing for programs in our school. And in this transaction, there's a little bit of that money, $7,000, that's going to be spent on a reading program in the high school. So I just wanted to publicly again thank the family. The Carapella family is a long-standing family in Tuckahoe, and obviously their feelings towards our school district that someone would make this type of a gift are very much worth noting of mentioning tonight. So I just wanted to do that once again. Was there anything else there, anybody? Okay, is there a motion? Dodge, second. Cynthia, all in favor? Okay, business of the board. This is the second reading of a policy. This is policy number 5405, and we announced this at the last board meeting. And is there any discussion there on that policy, or any comments or anything that has come forward on that we'd like to discuss?
Just to reiterate for everyone what that policy was. This was, the policy is about, in regards to student wellness. And back in 2016, the USDA released new federal regulations impacting the wellness policies required for participation in a federal nutrition program. The regulations call for a creation of a wellness coordinator and an advisory committee. That committee is inclusive of parents, students, and faculty members. Austin Goldberg, the Director of Athletics, Health, and PE, is going to be the head of that committee. The policy includes federal nutrition standards and guidelines related to nutrition. It promotes nutrition, education, and physical activity for all of our students. So that full policy can be found on the web for those that would like to read it. But I think all of us look forward to some improvement, maybe with some of the food downstairs as well. based on, we're actually doing a review, right, Lee, of our food?
Yeah, this year is our 5th year of our contract with Aramark Services, so by state law, we're required to rebid, and that gives us an opportunity to fully analyze our program and look into what we would like to have in the cafeteria program and provide bid specs as we go out to bid.
I just had a question, maybe Lauren would know, like which of these amendments are mandated changes and which are they recommended changes or mandated? Okay. Because there was just something in there about fundraising and the food that's sold at fundraising, and you know, I'm just not sure how restrictive we are required to be, is my question. Okay, so that is mandated. So this language that's in here is mandated on that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So we will read this one more time, or are we going to adopt the changes at the next? We're going to adopt at the next meeting. So there's a lot of information on there. I think anyone who's interested, please go onto the website, read the policy. Again, there will be a committee formed to work on this because it's an ongoing process, but the changes will be voted on at the next meeting. So any comment from the public, anyone who would like to make any suggestions on that, please contact us or feel free to attend the next meeting and let us know what you think about that. Okay, number 2 is accept a donation. Whereas the Tuckahoe Union Free School District has been informed of a donation to be made to the district in acknowledgement of School Board Recognition Week, and whereas the district would like to accept such donation, it is hereby resolved that the district shall accept a donation from TAA in the amount of $150 for shipping NHS donations, the National Honor Society, as Dr. Linehan told us earlier, donations to Texas. Is there a motion? Pete, second. Ram, discussion.
I'll just thank you to the TAA for your donation.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Number 3, whereas the Tuckahoe Union, accept a donation. Whereas the Tuckahoe Union Free School District has been informed of a donation to be made to the Tuckahoe Middle School in acknowledgement of School Board Recognition Week, and whereas the district would like to accept such donation, it is hereby resolved that the district shall accept a donation of $100 from the PTA for 2 hover cams. Is there a motion? P. Second. Cynthia. All in favor? Again, thank you to the PTA for that recognition. Thank you. Number 4. Accept a donation. Whereas the Tuckahoe Union Free School District has been informed of a donation to be made to William E. Cottle, and whereas the district would like to accept such donation, it is hereby resolved that the district shall accept the donation from Task in the form of 2 presentation screens. Is there a motion? Rob, second. Pete, discussion?
Just a little information on the TASK program for those who might be familiar with it. The TASK program is an independent program not affiliated with the school that is referred to as the TASK the Tuckahoe After School program. It runs independent. It serves right now, we have over 200 families or 200 students who use the program. So it's a very important program for the district. It helps a lot of the family who have children in the lower grades. Over the years, TASK has been thankful that the district has allowed them to use the space, and in return, what we've tried to do is wisely, upon recommendation and request, to make donations back to the school. I just want it to be known, everybody in the community at the TASK appreciates the support from the community. We'd like to thank the district for allowing us to use the facility, and we're more than happy to make these donations on behalf of the students. Just to give you a little insight, one is going to be a TV, a display screen that'll be in the hallway as you enter the school. That'll have school announcements and things like that to try and keep the community aware of what may be going on down below. And then also there's going to be a smart board or an interactive display board that will be on wheels, that will be used by the school and the administration, but will also be available to the children that are in the program for after school. So thank you to the board, and thank you to Casey and Marina, who do a phenomenal job running that program.
Yes, thank you. I believe this is the 6th consecutive year of donations from TASC, and it's a substantial amount of money, and all to benefit the needs of our school. It also does benefit TASC, but I think they are putting the needs of our district first in their donations and in their thought process as to what could be an asset to our school. So thank you again to TASC. All in favor? Number 6, approve an agreement. Resolve to approve an agreement with the, 5. I'm sorry. Accept a donation. Whereas the Tuckahoe Union Free School District has informed of a donation to be made in memory of Ann Palmieri, and whereas the district would like to accept such donation, it is hereby resolved that the district shall accept the donation of $700 from the class of 2024 for Memorial Bench. Is there a motion? Dodge, second. Cynthia, discussion?
I would just like to, on behalf of the district, thank the parents who are giving us this very thoughtful donation in Ann Palmieri's name. Ann Palmieri was a wonderful, dedicated teacher and professional and loved by all. So this is a wonderful thing to celebrate her memory. And I think we're going to hold, the donors asked that we hold until we have some plans with our facilities, and then implement this donation a couple of years from now. We could find just the right location to honor Ann's memory.
I would also like to thank the 2 parents, Janet Connie Bear and Amy Shaw, that organized the collection of the funds for this. Ms. Palmieri was an outstanding teacher, so devoted to her children, her students. As a matter of fact, Ms. Palmieri had retired, and right after her retirement came right back to work at our school as a substitute. She was a permanent leave replacement substitute. She really did not want to leave Tuckahoe School. So again, greatly missed, and a wonderful, absolutely wonderful teacher, Ms. Palmieri, and a beautiful thing to do for her. And as Mr. Albano said, the bench will be placed after. I think it's for them to recognize that it will have a special place after the capital project, I think makes it even that much more special. So, again, thank you. All in favor? Number 6, approve an agreement. Resolve to approve an agreement with the Giving Retriever LLC for 10 30-minute canine integrated therapy sessions at a cost of $2,000 for the period of October 17th, 2017 through June 30th, 2018. Is there a motion? Pete, second. Dodge, discussion?
Can you just explain that a little?
Sure. This program comes highly recommended. This is basically canine therapy for children in our special class programs, children with disabilities. And I believe we have 10 sessions scheduled, here in the district in all 3 buildings. And it wouldn't be possible without the next one. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but the PTA and 2 particular parents really got behind this and recommended and funded this special program, which will benefit our children. So we thank the PTA and we thank the parents who contributed as well.
All in favor? Number 7, accept a donation. Whereas the Tuckahoe Union Free School District has been informed of donations to be made to the district, and whereas the district would like to accept such donations, it is hereby resolved that the district shall accept the donations from PTA in the amount of $1,697, and from Maria Cucucci and Margaret Donahue Duffy in the amount of $150.50 each for the pet therapy program. Is there a motion? Rob, second. Dodge, discussion? Thank you again to the PTA and to the parents for making this possible. All in favor? Number 8, adopt goals. Resolve to adopt the 2017 and 18 goals of the Board of Education and Superintendent of Schools as outlined in the documents below and attached to the official minutes of this meeting. Motion? Rob, second. Pete, discussion?
Just again, these goals were presented last month. They're aligned with the entire administrative team's goals. And these are the two that are required to be adopted by the Board of Education. They'll be posted on the district's website.
And they were presented at our last meeting. All in favor? Number 9, approve an agreement. Resolved to approve an agreement with the Writing Revolution for professional development services for the period of September 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018 at a compensation of $18,000. Last year, 16-17, $75,000. Is there a motion? Pete, second. Cynthia, discussion?
Paul, maybe you could just explain why there's that significant change in the price year over year. I think that's the professional development.
Well, actually, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. McDonald, who heads up curriculum and instruction and professional development, can speak to it.
Sure. Last year was our heaviest year in terms of investment into our partnership, where we had the staff from Writing Revolution here with us on a consistent basis, doing the heavy professional development, the heavy lifting, and getting all of our teachers, K through 12, up to speed with writing across the curriculum, and what does that mean and what does that look like. And part of our strategic plan is to bring in our own teacher leadership and build that capacity. So as we did last month, we approved writing curriculum liaisons who are our own staff members, who will now be the liaisons with the Writing Revolution, and they will then be doing that turnkey work here with our staff. So we actually had a prior contract for this year that we asked to be approved, and it was, and then we needed to renegotiate that so we had money for other professional development needs. And the Writing Revolution was a fabulous partner in that work, redesigning it, given that we were getting our own writing curriculum liaisons up to speed and into place, so that then they could work directly with the liaisons work with our staff, as opposed to having as much on-site time. It's time for us to take ownership of the writing curriculum, and so that's why we're at significantly less money to the program itself.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
All in favor? Number 10, approve a merger agreement. Resolved that the board hereby approves the October 16th, 2017 agreement, which sets forth the terms and conditions between the district and the Bronxville School District for merging the girls' softball team for the purpose of allowing Bronxville students to participate in the Tuckahoe girls' softball program for the 2017-18 school year in the interscholastic athletic program. Is there a motion? Pete, second. Daj. Discussion?
I'll just invite Mr. Goldberg up, since he's here. Convenient. Just quick, brief description of the merger program with Bronxville.
So the merger program is year to year, so whatever decision you make today won't affect future years. And as you may, I know the board's aware, but if the community is not, Bronxville does an awful lot for our student athletes. We're able to send male and female winter track and male and female spring track athletes to Bronxville. They are coached by their coaches, and really just building community. And if you know anything about track, I know Dr. Linehan does, he's a good runner, but they're very long weekends, and Saturdays and Sundays going down to Harlem or Staten Island, and it's a lot of hours. And this is a way that we could repay, and also there's great potential for our program to grow. And last year we were not able to field 3 softball teams. The bulk of our student athletes were in the JV range. And with this merger, I think that we're hopeful that we're going to be able to field 3 teams for modified JV and varsity softball to give students a lot of game experience.
Thank you.
Can I just ask you, Austin, because this was mentioned before, if you merge the 2 schools together for a team, does it change your division that you're in, or is there an impact on that?
The impact would be, right now we're classified as C, and with this merger we would be in a B playoff. our league stays the same, and last year we had a very competitive non-league schedule facing AA schools, A schools, and I look forward to making that schedule also to prepare the team for their needs and long playoff runs.
Great, thank you. Any other comments on that? All in favor? Okay, personnel. 1, appoint stipends. Resolve to appoint the following stipends for the 2017-18 school year. Suzanne Diarco, Images Literary Advisor, $1,417. Christina Sarafin, Junior Carnival Co-Advisor, $850.50. Joseph Tools, Junior Carnival Co-Advisor, $850.50. James Sweeney, Snow Sports Club Advisor, $1,417. Catherine Mosier, Spring Musical Art Director, $2,834. Robert Trahey, Grade 9 Advisor, $1,417. Jessica Buca-Hughes, Tigers Helping Cubs Advisors, and William E. Cottle, $1,417. Is there a motion? Rob, second. Dodge, discussion. I'd just like to thank all those that come out for these positions, because without that, they could not be possible for us to offer these great opportunities to our students. All in favor? 2, appoint coaches. I'm sorry, appoint coaches. Resolve to appoint the following coaches for the 2017-18 winter sports season. Robert Trahey, Varsity Bowling Co-Coach, $1,983.50. Peggy Velocio, Varsity Bowling Coach, $1,983.50. Lori Romeo, JV Cheer Coach, $3,400. Danielle Smith, Varsity Cheer Head Coach, $3,967. Thomas Cruz, Modified Boys Basketball Head Coach, $5,101. David Benlin, Freshman Basketball Head Coach, $5,101. Lowell Robinson, Boys Basketball JV Coach, $6,800. Al Visconti, Boys Basketball Varsity Head Coach, $7,934. James Sweeney, Modified Girls Basketball Coach, $5,101. Andrew Colasuno, Girls Basketball Varsity Head Coach, $7,934. Is there a motion? Rob, second.
I'd like to make a motion to extract the varsity and JV cheer coaches out from this group.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, well, let me just say, so we're going to, Lauren, do we have to motion first on the first resolution, and then do we need a motion to extract?
You need a motion to extract, you need a second, and then a vote, and then you can go back and re-vote.
Okay. So,
If there, excuse me for a second, if there's anything else that's going to be extracted, do we have to say that now?
okay, is there anything else that's going to be extracted?
Would we have to say that now or wait for this vote?
You would handle each one as a separate motion.
Got it.
So we should vote on each one now as a separate, or what's the best way to
You
do
made
it?
a motion, someone needs to second it, and then you would call for a vote. And then if somebody wants to make another motion, then you would
For
do the
another.
same thing for that,
Okay.
and then you can do whatever's left.
Thank you, Lauren. Okay, so right now we have a motion to extract the 2 cheer coaches. Is there a second?
To extract them? Or
To take them out of this bulk vote.
and we're voting separate?
We're going to vote separate. There'll still be a vote.
Yeah, I think we have to
Okay,
vote
so
separate.
Cynthia's going to second. Okay.
Well, so there's a motion. Does there need to be a second motion in order to
Yes.
extract them?
Yes. You
Yes.
need a second
Yes.
to extract them.
Right.
Okay, so we just did that, right?
Who's the second?
Cynthia.
And are we voting separately on each person?
No, we're going to vote on,
The 2 together?
no, we're going to vote on the on the group without the 2, and then we're going to have a separate vote.
But I'd like to pull something else out of there.
Okay, we can do that. We'll have to motion for that. Go ahead. You can do that.
Okay. The boys basketball varsity head coach?
Okay, is there a second to pull out the boys' Dodge. Okay, so we're going to vote right now on what's left, which is varsity bowling, co-coaches. Let's just be clear what we're doing here. Modified boys basketball head coach, freshman basketball head coach, boys basketball JV coach, modified girls basketball coach, girls basketball varsity head coach. Okay? So now do we need to motion for that, Lauren, or we did? Okay. Is there a motion? Dodge, second. Rob, discussion. All in favor? Okay. Now we're going to vote on JV cheer coach. Lori Romeo, JV cheer coach, $3,400. Is there a motion? Dodge, second. Rob, discussion.
Yes, I'd like to say a few words.
Go right ahead.
So, back in August when Lori was first appointed, first nominated, I voted against, and I didn't make a comment publicly. And now tonight again, I'm intending to vote against as well. But I felt this time around I really should say something to the public. Deserves to hear my thoughts on this, and so does Lori and Danielle. Last time I didn't say anything because it was my first board meeting. I was a little jittery about doing something wrong. I know normally we don't speak about personnel decisions in public because usually they stem around performance reviews or things that are private and aren't for public discussion. But in this case, I think I can speak freely about it because it actually has nothing to do with the individuals. I see we have I think a lot of folks here are probably here in support of Lori and Danielle, and you guys are probably fans, and I'm a fan too, actually. I'm a big fan of Lori's. I know her personally, which makes this very uncomfortable for me. And it has, again, my position on this has nothing to do with them personally. I think they're more than qualified. I think they're good coaches. But my opposition stems from my belief that hiring or appointing a coach from the private recreational organization simultaneously with having all the girls coming into our program at one time, at the same time, represents a problem in terms of the integrity of our program. So let me explain a little more what I mean by that. Is that I looked at this as being a very unique year for our cheer program. I don't think this has ever happened before, and I don't think it's ever going to happen again, in that we have an existing cheer program, which was kind of small. Last year was just the varsity cheer team. It consisted of primarily upperclassmen. And now this year we were going to have this large influx of I think somewhere like 17 to 19 cheerleaders coming in from the private recreational program all at once, all as one unit. They've cheered together for many, many years, had a lot of success, which they should be very proud of. And they're all coming in together as one unit, and we're going to try and merge them now with our existing cheer program and our upperclassmen. And to make things even more complicated and even more challenging, there's varying skill levels, right? Obviously, the girls coming in from the private program at a very high level, they're very skilled. And the girls that are here, no disrespect to them, I think they'd probably admit it if they were here, they're not quite to that skill level. So now we were going to try and take these two factions, merge them together, and Austin had the inevitable task of figuring out how to deal with all this. And we knew we were going to want to have a competitive team come out of that, and that there was going to have to be cuts. You know, Tuckahoe's a small school district. We don't normally make a lot of cuts, but in this program, there was going to have to be some cuts, because in cheer, what I've learned is you can't have too many varying skill levels. It's dangerous. It's very acrobatic. You can't have, you know, girls that don't have a good skill level competing with girls that do. So with all that being said, and recognizing these challenges, I just felt that in order for us to be successful, in order for this to work, we really needed to have a complete separation from the recreational program. In order for it to have buy-in on this from, quite frankly, in order for the girls coming in to have the right mindset, and in order for the girls who are already here, already in our program, receiving, and all the parents involved, I felt it was really important that there be a delineation between the private organization that they are coming from and now this public, you know, our public organization. And I felt that by appointing Lori, we were crossing that line. and that there would be a jeopardy, we would jeopardizing the integrity of our program, in that when cuts are made, decisions are made, organizations are made, there could be some that feel that if somebody like Lori, who's coming in from that program with the girls, is involved in those decisions aren't going to be, they're going to be biased. They're not going to be fair decisions.
Peter, do you have a background in athletics?
Well, you're not going to be able to comment from there.
There'll be a chance for you to
I'm
comment.
sorry.
Yeah. So it really has to do with my belief that this was not the right thing for us to do. So I don't want to take up too much time. I assume there's probably going to be some podium talks, and maybe there'll be some back and forth, and I'm willing to talk about it some more. But I just wanted to drive home the point that my opposition to her appointment was purely based on what I believe should be this year. For this year alone, there should be a delineation between the two. And I'm not opposed, just so people understand, to eventually hiring somebody out of the recreational program. I just felt that this was such a critical year, such an important year, that we were going to have this transition.
Thank you.
That we kept it separate so that it got off to a good start and there was no concerns about biasness. And then a year from now, or even less than then, if we wanted to hire somebody from that program, I don't think it would have been an issue. So that was my opposition to it. And I'll just finish up by saying, in the 2.5 months or so since the first appointment to now, I feel that there's been a couple of instances, and I'm not going to get into them here, I don't think it's appropriate, but there's been a couple of instances and complaints and events that have taken place that have only confirmed my concerns and not assuaged them. So that's why I'm sticking with my position on this. You know, I'm sure I'll have more to say about it later, but I'll stop there.
Okay, Pete, I'll just add to that very briefly, because I also did vote in opposition at the last meeting, and I also did not the last meeting, the last time that this was up for appointment, I also did not comment, and because it was a personnel issue, and but I don't want, to the extent that we can discuss it, I do also think it's important to discuss it, but I will be much briefer in just saying that I'm going to oppose the appointment because I do believe there should be a separation in what is perceived to be fair for all students. I think it is our role as a board to present opportunities to students that they feel they have an equal opportunity to participate in. And if we're going to set something up in a way that doesn't give that appearance, whether it's intended or unintended, and I am not making any insinuations that it is intended, but I think it's only natural having the relationships that exist. And that is my feeling about it. I've been consistent with that. This is not the first time that it's come up, and it's not the first time we've had this vote come up. So I also will agree with Pete for what has come to my attention. I believe that it still has not created an equal opportunity for all of our students. Does not mean every student makes the team, does not mean, it's just that there should be an equal opportunity for children to feel that they can try and participate and go out there with the same opportunities as others. So that's where I stand on that. And now we're going to vote, unless there's anybody else wants to say anything. Cynthia? Rob? No.
No, my thought on this, and we could talk about it all night, I'm sure, is that we're not at the practices. We're not at the performances necessarily. And I think we are making some assumptions as to how it's going. But my understanding, and maybe the athletic director's here and he could provide us with some additional information for the public, there's over 30 girls participating in the program. So that sounds like we have more girls participating. There may have been some missteps. There's no question that we did receive some complaints. But if those have been addressed and they're been fixed, I don't know, I saw a group of girls on the field the other night that looked like they were having fun. I understand your concerns, and believe me, I get it. I totally get it. I just don't think at this stage, I think we've closely monitored the situation. Our athletic director is doing everything he possibly can. To not appoint them tonight, where does that leave the program now? So I understand your concerns, but that's my concern.
But, yeah,
I would just like to comment as well. Like they all said, there was some concerns, and I feel like I'm going to leave it in the hands of the athletic director to hope that those concerns are dealt with and that the program does continue.
I certainly want the program to continue, and my focus on this is actually derived from the fact that I care about it, and I actually want to see it have legs and exist and move on. So it's exactly the opposite of what some may think. And I disagree with you, Rob. I think there have been some concerns, and I don't think those concerns have been mitigated, quite frankly. I think they're still going on. So we may have a different opinion on that, and that's fine. But that's my feeling. I think this is still an issue. We're going to have now another round of tryouts. There's now going to be winter competition tryouts. Hopefully there'll be more girls that come out. I know there were some girls that probably didn't come out for the fall season because they were involved in other sports. Now some of them may come out. There's going to be another round of tryouts, and I think the tryouts are a concern of mine, and even the way the program is being administered is a concern of mine. So I don't think my concerns have not been allayed. Maybe you're seeing something different from me, and that's fine.
Hey, Austin, has any girls quit the program that have signed up?
He's going to have to come to the microphone.
I'm sorry.
I don't think.
If there's 30 or 31 girls that have signed up.
Carl, what can I say publicly?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm pulling up, we have a policy on public participation at board meetings, and it, it clearly states that the board will not permit public session discussion involving individual district personnel or students. So you can't mention names, but
no, I'm not asking who. If
a general.
There was 31 girls that signed up. If that number's wrong, please tell me.
General numbers, Mr. Goldberg, you certainly can provide.
Out of the 31 girls, is there 1 or 2 or 3 that have quit, or is everybody stuck out the whole program?
There was one last week because of.
I'm sorry, Austin, you have to speak at the
please,
microphone because no one can hear you at home.
To my knowledge, there was one student for. I don't want to say the.
Yeah, you don't have to say.
That's fine.
Can Austin, before you step away, I think it's important. This is important. So, you're the man who's hired to oversee this program. You're the athletic director. I think it's important that we hear and the public hears your opinion of how the program has gone so far. How you perceive it, and do you have concerns?
Well, you know what? Yeah. I'm not sure if that's appropriate. His recommendation.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. No, I'm saying.
No, it's not okay for you to shut.
No, because it's his recommendation. So obviously he's in support of it. It's his recommendation.
I think she's trying to protect him.
Yeah. He obviously supports the recommendation. He's making it.
Not you, right. Although you might think so. Not you. It's him, so let him speak. You want to do something...
You know what, we're not going to be out of order on this. If you would like to speak when it's the appropriate time to speak... Okay, I'm in charge of the meeting here. I am going to make sure that everybody does things in a manner that is civilized and that we're acting in a way that is within our, we're not going to just put one of our administrators in a position if the superintendent doesn't think he should. So maybe we should let the superintendent decide who should be answering the questions, not me.
Again, Mr. Goldberg, Mr. Cipher, he can answer general questions. We cannot speak about an individual staff member or an individual student. So if you want to maybe rephrase the question.
I guess that's a very good point. He made the recommendation, so obviously he's in favor.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay. My apologies, Austin.
That's okay.
Okay. So where were we? We had a motion, we had a second, we had a discussion. All in favor?
Favor of the chair coach.
Yes. I'm sorry. It was one coach, Lori Romeo. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Okay, now,
Danielle Smith.
I'm in the wrong place here. 1 second. Varsity cheer head coach, Danielle Smith. Varsity cheer head coach, $3,967. Is there a motion? Dodge. Second. Rob. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Okay.
Can
Okay,
I
now we
just
have...
say something, because I think moving forward, I think we all should be respectful of each other's opinions or what they have to say. Everyone thinks differently, and I think we should respect and listen to what other people have to say. We don't all have to agree, but I think we all in some way need to be a little civilized. That's all.
Thank you, Cynthia. I'm sorry.
Because as you see, we don't all agree, but we have to work together.
Boys basketball varsity head coach, Al Visconti. $7,934. Is there a motion? Rob. Second. Pete. Discussion. No discussion? Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Okay.
Unbelievable.
Did you want to say something, Dosh?
Nope.
Okay.
Not at all. It's funny how we fight against the cheer coach, but yet, I'll leave it alone.
If you want to have a discussion, Dodge, you're entitled to have a
Nope.
discussion when it's time for to have a discussion. Number 4, approve participation. I'm sorry. Appoint coaches. Resolve to appoint the following coaches for the 2018 spring sports session. Joseph Tools, boys tennis coach, $3,967. David Benlin, JV boys baseball coach, $6,800. Gerald DeFabia, varsity boys baseball coach, $7,934. Joanne Ornstein, varsity golf co-coach, $1,511.33. Angela Georgie, varsity golf coach, $1,511.33. James Sweeney, varsity golf coach, $1,511.33. Michael McGovern, varsity softball coach, $7,934. Is there a motion? Pete. Second. Rob. Discussion. Maybe, Carl, if you just wanted to comment on, we are for the first time appointing spring coaches this early on,
Sure.
and the rationale behind that.
Sure. This group of coaches will be, once approved, working in the spring season. Mr. Goldberg, one of his goals that he actually articulated last year was to appoint coaches earlier. And there's a tremendous benefit to this. First, you always want to be out there early looking for the best talent that's available. And I think he's accomplished that. Also, he'd like to have these coaches have input into scheduling the season, looking at inventory, ordering equipment, making decisions, and possibly even working with our athletes in the off-season. So this is something that is a little different from what we've done in the past, but I fully support Mr. Goldberg's initiative with getting early appointments for coaches. I think it's a wise decision and a good practice.
And I will also say when Austin was hired, this is something that he had explained to us in the interview process that was very important, and that was something that he would be implementing after he spent some time here with us. So thank you for that. All in favor? Okay. Number 4, approve participation. Resolve to approve Jim Mitchell, Bronxville girls varsity track coach, and Ian Clark, Bronxville boys varsity track coach, as coaches for the Tuckahoe High School athletes who will be competing at all home and away meets on the Bronxville schedule representing Tuckahoe High School for the 2017-18 school year. The Tuckahoe High School athletes will also be practicing and traveling with the Bronxville track team. Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Clark shall receive no compensation from the Tuckahoe Union Free School District for serving as the coach for the Tuckahoe athletes. Is there a motion? Dodge, second. Pete, discussion.
Again, Mr. Goldberg talked about this earlier when he presented his goals. This is a win-win for our district. We have a great relationship with Bronxville. We appreciate their willingness to have Tuckahoe athletes compete along with Bronxville and under Bronxville's coaches. We have a long history with them, and again, we thank them for this merger.
Agreed. All in favor? Number 5, increase a teaching load. Resolve to increase the teaching load of Danielle Dwyer by .2, effective September 6, 2017 through October 16, 2017, at a compensation as per the TTA. Is there a motion? Pete, second. Rob, discussion. Carl, this is for 5 and 6, is that correct?
Yes, 5 and 6. We had a very late resignation with one of our special education teachers, so I appreciate Ms. Dwyer, and then the next one, Mr. Diarco, stepped up, and we're teaching an extra period from the beginning of the school year. So we appreciate that, and this is a contractual obligation.
Okay. All in favor? Number 6, increase the teaching load. Resolve to increase the teaching load of John Diarco by .2, effective September 6, 2017 through October 16, 2017, at a compensation as per the TTA contract. Is there a motion? Rob, second. Pete, discussion. All in favor? Number 7, appoints a mentor. Resolve to appoint Janine Casara as a mentor for the 2017-18 school year at a rate as per the TTA contract. Is there a motion? Cynthia, second. Pete, discussion. All in favor? Number 8, appoint .2 speech and language teacher. Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent to appoint Catherine Petty to a temporary .2 appointment as per teacher of speech and language commencing on October 19, 2017 and ending on June 30, 2018 on a Step 1 MA prorated on the TTA salary schedule. Ms. Petty holds speech and language disabilities and initial certification. Is there a motion? Pete, second. Cynthia. Discussion.
I'll just say that Ms. Petty is currently doing a leave replacement for one of our speech teachers, doing a very effective job. Dr. McDonald is recommending her. She's going to replace some services, speech services, where we were using an outside service provider. So we'll have an in-house person, and I think it's a wise decision. She's demonstrated that she's a very effective speech pathologist.
All in favor? Okay. This is now the second recognition of the audience, and this can be on any items. When you approach, please give us your name and your address.
Danielle Nealis, 24 Crawford Street. Happy that both coaches were voted back in, but I'd like you to consider the fact that there are 31 girls that were on the team and probably will be on it again. And last year, this board voted for a second coach for the varsity cheer team when there were only 15 girls on the team. So with that ratio, having 2 coaches and 31 girls is really quite unsafe, and it needs to be addressed before the start of their November 7th season starts.
Well, Danielle, just to be, tonight there was appointments for 2 different teams, I believe. There's a varsity coach and a JV coach. It's my understanding there will be tryouts for 2 teams. So it's not a 1 team of 31 girls. That's my understanding.
Okay,
there are
so
2
even
teams.
if one team has 15 or 18, that's still not enough coaches. You had 2 last year.
Okay.
So even if they split in half and there's 15 each, they both should get the same thing that varsity got last year.
Okay, and if that recommendation had come before the board, which it did not, because there was not more than 1 team. So we will see after the tryout what the needs are for the program, and I'm sure that Austin Goldberg will make whatever suggestions he feels are necessary.
Sorry, I'm not understanding. From September till now, there are 31 kids on a team
And there are
with
2
2
coaches, correct?
Right. And last year there were 15 kids and 2 coaches. The numbers just don't add up, I'm saying. You're all very smart, I'm sure you can figure it out. And Pete, I'm sorry, but kind of taken down a notch because your reasoning for voting against Lori because of coming from the rec program is one thing. But you voted against Danielle as well, and she did not come from the rec program.
Right.
So that kind of, it's very clear, I don't know, it's clear to me, these girls who are sitting here who should be home doing homework, that this is clearly against an individual in the neighborhood. This has nothing to do with the cheer program, because these girls work, practice, do homework, they're on the principal's list, they go to all these games, and that is not taken into account. I'm really sorry, I don't understand that.
I'm not sure what that has to do with.
With you voting no against someone who didn't come from the rec program when that was your reasoning?
No, I'll explain it to you. I didn't vote, I voted for Danielle the first time. I'm not voting for her now because the issues that I didn't spell out, but I feel like there were certain things that happened in the last 2.5 months that have confirmed my fears of the biasness. And Danielle is actually Lori's boss, and she didn't do anything to stop it. So as far as I'm concerned, she's now responsible as well. So that's my reasoning. I was supportive of Danielle, and I thought that when Danielle was appointed that maybe she would be a stopgap, and she hasn't been, so I'm not supportive of her now either.
Okay, well, that's great. Well, the other 30 parents seem to be quite content.
I think I just want to address it, because I'm not really sure, but I think if there is a recommendation in regards to coaches, assistant coaches and thereof, I think it does come from Mr. Goldberg. I think he bases that on, I guess, the safety of the students. So I guess depending on who tries out, and if that is determined, I believe it would come from you.
Todd Hummel, 110 Parkview Drive. I just have a comment. Peter, you had mentioned about the fairness of the cheer team. I'm curious, when you voted for the Bronxville and Tuckahoe girls to come together, did you not think that that was fair for our girls? That some of our girls are going to get cut because of the Bronxville kids that are going to come and play with us?
I don't have any reason to believe there's some unfairness there. I don't think there's even cuts in
No, I'm just trying to follow your reasoning, because it seems like it's okay for one sport, but not okay for another
My reasoning,
sport.
I think, is, look, you don't have to agree with me. Nobody has to
No,
agree.
I don't.
That's fine. But I think my reasoning is pretty sound. I mean, you have, I think anybody who's objective, looking from the outside, would understand what I'm saying. You have a very unique situation that happened this year. Very unique. I think you have to at least recognize that. It's not common for a school team to have 19 players all come in at once. All, and by the way, they're a unit that have been together since they're little kids, and they're all coming in together.
Supporting the community, I might add.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
No.
cheering for the community that we
remember,
are.
my daughters, both of them were in that program. And my daughters right now are on the competitive team. So there's really no logic to me having a personal axe to grind, because there's no axe to
No,
it.
I didn't say a
Okay,
personal axe to grind.
yeah. So, but my rationale was, we have, this would be fine in my mind if we had no cheer program, and all the girls coming in were going to be the cheer program. But that's not the case. They're coming into the school, and there's 11 other girls, maybe there would have been more, maybe there will be more, that are in this program already.
When you have
they're
a
going to have
chance.
to merge together. And the girls that are here already are upperclassmen. Girls coming in are lowerclassmen. They have a higher skill level. It's a challenge. I mean, this was not an easy transition year, and I just felt this was going to be tough. And I thought the last thing that we should be doing was hiring the coach, their long-term coach, along with them. To me, that just is going to create more problems and more concern of biasness. So I think we all want to have, listen, if there's going to be cuts, we want the girls who get cut to say, hey, look, I wasn't good enough. You don't want them going home and them and their parents thinking, well, was I cut because I wasn't good enough, or was I cut because I'm not in the crew, I'm in the club, I'm not part of that clique.
But I think you made point to before. Hang on.
Well, why is that absurd?
Hang on. You and I are having a conversation. You made a point before about safety, and some of the stunts that these girls do are extremely dangerous. And I can tell you, my daughter is a flyer who's getting thrown up in the air. Every competition I go to, I'm on the edge of my seat, praying to God that she doesn't get hurt.
Right.
So to your point about, I'd like to think, and you said that you know Lori very well, I find it a little concerning that you're saying that she can't make the right decision based on her ability.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that any decision that she makes can lack credibility. Not because she's not credible, but because there's a direct long-term connection to to a certain faction of those girls. And you have to recognize that there's a, by the way, if Lori did show some biasness towards those girls, that would be completely human and natural. She's been with these girls for years. And you guys have a tight-knit community.
Okay, let's, okay.
Okay, that's not what I'm saying, that if she did, it would be natural and it would be understandable. So my point is, why in this very critical transitional year would we bring that in with us? Why not have the girls come into the school program, have it be independent of the recreation program, at least in the onset, at least until we get it on its feet, until we have buy-in and the merger is on its feet, and then I wouldn't be opposed a year from now, or even less, to hiring a Lori or somebody else. I just felt that not at this juncture. This is not the right time to do it. We needed to have a complete separation. It needed to feel like, for everybody involved, it needed to feel like the girls were coming into our district's athletic program versus their program being extended into the school district and the school being used as a vehicle for their program, because now they've aged out of the rec program. It may seem like a subtle difference to you. I don't think it's a subtle difference. I think it's an important difference. I think it needs to be the school's program, not the recreational's program, being used by, using the school for the recreations program. So you don't have to agree with me, but
No,
that's my rationale, and I don't think it's unreasonable. I really don't.
No, I'm not saying it's unreasonable. I guess I'm having a tough time understanding how it's okay for one sport. And based on the agenda here.
Give me a parallel.
Softball, right? We're taking the Bronxville girls, joining them with Tuckahoe. So what about all the girls who are coming in now that want to play softball for Tuckahoe? Is it not fair for those girls because now we're bringing in the Bronxville girls? So I would assume more than likely, I would assume more than likely that some of those Tuckahoe girls that were looking forward to playing may get cut. So is there a bias there as well?
I think your analogy works if the coach that we just hired for the team was the Bronxville coach. Because if the Bronxville coach was hired and then conducting a tryout and there were Bronxville students coming, then yes, the Tuckahoe students might feel that it wasn't fair or be perceived to be fair. Let me be clear, because if the coach was from Bronxville and the kids are trying out from Bronxville, then maybe some of the Tuckahoe kids might just say, hey, you know what, I may not even bother, because that guy, he's going to pick all the kids from Bronxville, or a woman, and it's not going to be a fair opportunity for me. And that is my concern. And so I think you almost gave me the perfect analogy, because for me, it should be a fair playing field from the beginning. And if I don't believe as a board member that it is that fair playing field, whether it is intended or unintended, please, you have, and I can't make you, I can't convince you, but that is my, whether it's intended or not, it would give the perception to other students that it may not be. And I don't want students to feel that way. I want them to feel like they have the same opportunity. And at this juncture, I don't think it's set up that way. And as a matter of fact, going back to last year, I mean, we almost to the point had it documented that it wasn't that way. And so for me, I've been consistent with my thought on this. And as information has come to me, it almost verifies that. So I think it is just a difference of opinions. And I think, for you and for the other parents who are here, and I understand why you feel the way. It is your daughter, and so your perception of it would be different. And that's completely understandable. And I'm just trying to think of it from the perspective, I have, it's what would be fair for all of the other students. And that's the way I have to vote. So, that's what it is for me.
So, like Lori mentioned, she understands your perspective, and I do too, but please, just for a minute, try and understand the perspective from the other side. If you were the parent of the junior that came out for this team and got cut, and one of the people involved in the decision to cut was the long-term coach of that crew that just came in, you wouldn't have a problem with that? You wouldn't say to myself, I wonder if my daughter was cut because she wasn't good enough, or was she cut because she's not part of that clique? And even if she may have been legitimately cut. I'm not saying that Lori is doing this. I'm saying that we are a public institution, and you have to have trust, and trust comes from integrity. The system has to have integrity. You see it all the time in the public arena. You see attorney generals and prosecutors recusing themselves from cases because there's a perception. And my neighbor across the street is Miss Burke, and we moved in 10 years ago. All my kids were going through college. She said, "I'll never have your kids as a teacher. I won't allow it because I don't want the perception that because we're neighbors, there's some kind of..." So it happens all the time in public institutions where you realize that a perception is not good and that you need to sort of address that perception. And that's where I'm coming from. I'm coming from the perspective of the girls that were in this program already and we're probably going to be the butt end of the cuts because they're not as good as the girls coming in. Think about that. I mean, this is really strange in that you're having the higher skill set in the younger girls. It already represents kind of a tough situation. And I just think we make it a lot tougher when one of the decision makers, it was their long-term coach that comes in with them at the same time.
But I like to think that the board put their trust in that coach to come along, that she would make the right decision and not make decisions
I think it's
based on
human
bias.
nature. I think it would be human nature. It's too much to ask, I think, of her.
But it's vice versa too, right? I can say the same thing, right? I can say you're telling me that you think one of the coaches is going to choose the long-term girls over somebody else because she's been with them for that long. If there's a girl out there who's better than one of our girls, I would think every single one of our girls would welcome that girl onto the team, even if it meant somebody that's been with that team for a very long time. Look, it gets into a whole bigger discussion about these girls are becoming adults. There's going to be disappointment in their life. So letting them deal with it now, which I think went back to what we spoke about early on, having people understand how to deal with disappointment in life, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
So
but they have to at least feel like the system in which they were cut has integrity. And again, I'm not saying that Lori's not capable of making that decision, but certainly any decision she makes could be clouded with the idea that, well, is she biased or is she not? I just don't understand why we would put ourselves in that situation as a district.
I'll leave it at this. I think it's a difference of opinion. I respect your opinion. I hope that you respect mine and our opinion.
I do.
And I think at the end of the day, I think we all appreciate you guys voting those two coaches in, and I think at the end of the day, you'll see that it was the right decision. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
You know, I'm surprised.
Can you just come to give us your name and your address? It's your turn now. Here you go.
Thank you, Michelle. You can see I'm passionate about the program.
And I'm good with that.
So,
I love passion.
Kyle Jordan, 35 Pasadena Road. Thank you for what you do. I appreciate everything. I'm surprised, yet I'm not very surprised with what happened here tonight, right? The way you voted in the past and the way you voted today. And I feel like it's not that you think there's a lack of integrity. I think it's something else, and I know I'm entitled to my opinion.
Sure.
But there's no reason for you to believe the hypothetical. I could ask you to pick the lotto numbers for me. It's a guess. You're guessing what the future would be.
I'm sorry, that's not even close to a good analogy.
But you're guessing, you're thinking that Lori can't act ethically, that she's going to treat students differently because of their capabilities. And she's going to say, you know what, I like this person better because I hung out with them for 3 months or 3 years or coached them. That's not the case.
All right, can I give you a little minor example? Very small one. Small one, because I'll go back to just this homecoming.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Pete, if it's going to be a specific example about the coach's performance or something that's a personnel issue, I'm going to ask you not to give a specific example of a performance or
all right. Well, let's
something
just
that
say,
is
so I guess I
specific
can't do it.
about
Let's just say that I think I've already seen demonstrations of that bias. Maybe not intended, but I've seen it come through. I think everybody can see it. If you're looking for it, you can see it. I see it. So I think that's, it's not a hypothetical in my mind. It's just not.
How many practices have you been to with all those girls together?
Zero.
Zero.
So that's my concern, Kyle. So when I see things out in public, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And when I see things out in public that are not right, then it makes me think, what is going on? What is going on in the real important decisions?
So your assessment of smoke, crystal ball again.
I want you to be able to voice and ask your questions. I just want to keep it, we do have a policy, and there are certain things that we can't say, and I don't want it, in the general context of things. And again, I think your questions are specific to the students who are on the team, and I think those are fair questions because that's when it becomes a personnel issue, right? How the actual coaching. And just to speak about my own vote, it is not on the coaching of the team. It is on the opportunity for the students. And I just want to keep saying that because I want to be clear about where I stand on that, okay?
And I just want to say, I'm equally passionate about this program. This is why I'm taking such a stand on it. So we don't have to agree, but I think last time when we were here, you made a comment that, I guess you made an observation that we were sort of throwing our hand up in the air for everything else and then this thing.
Yeah.
And I think the insinuation you were making was that we didn't care about the coaches, but we cared about everything else. I think it's the opposite, actually. It's my...
Well, when there's smoke, there's fire, right? Isn't that what you just said?
Yeah,
I saw the smoke.
Okay, but I'm just saying that it's, you can disagree with me, and I know you do, but it's actually derived out of my passion for this as well. I wanted this to get off to the right start, because I want to see it have legs. I was excited about the influx of talent and all the girls that are coming into the program. And do I have a special interest in it? Yeah, I do. My girls are cheerleaders, and they really enjoy it. And I want to see this program flourish. I really do. So we're equally passionate. We can have different opinion about it, but I actually don't. Nobody out there should think that this is because I want to see this program fail. It's a complete opposite.
But if you bring in a less qualified coach when this comes up, right? That was where you were going.
Well, first of all, you don't know that the other coaches were less qualified. But
Okay,
again,
let's not talk about
yeah,
that.
right.
Okay.
But my feeling is that the integrity, in my opinion, you may not agree with this, in my opinion, the integrity of the program is more important than actually the qualifications of the coach. That's how I feel. I feel integrity in a public institution is paramount. It has to be first. And everything else falls underneath that. You don't have to agree with that, but that's how I feel.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
I have one last question.
Sure.
Last year, July, you appointed 2 coaches, one who knew the girls and one who didn't. So Danielle knew nothing of this program or these girls, and now there's a mix of both girls who have been and girls who haven't, working together as a unit. Your integrity's there. You had checks and balances, and yet you're still not happy. So that leaves us the question as to why, because it's not the program.
Well, I guess I can't comment on that, so.
Okay, is there anybody else? Okay. Motion to adjourn? Pete, second. Rob. All in favor? All right, thank you. Thank you for coming.